Get ready. It's Blunt Force Truth Prime Chuck.
Well, the NRA is under assault. It's always under assault by the left. Every time a mass shooting happens, or any shooting happens, with the exception of Chicago, the left comes out and politicizes it instantly and then nails the NRA. Now, interestingly enough, this is going to be kind of short today because there's not really a lot to cover with this other than to say this. The NRA has never been involved in a mass shooting, not one time, ever. Well, with one exception. And the exception is this church shooting in Texas. And I'll get to that a little bit later. But first, the church shooting should never have happened. The guy should never have had a weapon. He escaped, I guess, in 2012 from a facility in New Mexico. I don't know whether it was an insane asylum or not, but he was there and he escaped. He was discharged from the Air Force, I guess dishonorably. I'm not really sure about that either, but he was discharged from the Air Force because he had cracked the skull of his wife's infant son and beat her up really badly. So if you're involved in a dispute like that, you immediately go in the database, in the national database. Well, unfortunately, the bureaucrats with the Air Force forgot to put all of that stuff in there. Had he been in that database, he would never have been able to buy a gun to shoot up this church, which is fairly, within 100 miles of my house. As tragic as that's been, and it is tragic, the one thing that you can point to that's a little bit different this time is that the perpetrator was shot. He was stopped, he was shot, and he was running away from the scene, of course, after he'd done the damage. But an individual came out with a rifle and shot him. Well, guess what? That guy was an NRA instructor. So the NRA is involved in this shooting, except in a very positive way. It takes a good guy with a gun to stop a bad guy with a gun, and a good guy with a gun did that. And he was a member and an instructor with the NRA. And I'll just leave you with that.